watching Numbskull News, and today we're talking about the ACC. It's dead. It's dead man walking. I am actually shocked at what's going on. Florida State, we all knew. Florida State eventually was going to have some kind of Board of Regents meeting, and they were going to talk about them leaving the ACC. We knew that was going to happen. Everybody knew that. What people didn't know is what we found out during that Board of Regents meeting. Now, there's other channels that'll probably break that shit down piece by piece. This isn't the channel for that. I'm going to focus on one thing. And that one thing is having me change my mind about a lot of future prospects of the ACC. For instance, I've always been big on the Big 12 the Big 12 and the ACC merger. Well, that shit ain't happening with this. It changed my whole outlook on that. No, that ain't happening. I always thought the ACC will survive. All right, that was the basis of the Big 12 ACC merger, soft merger, then possible full merger later on that I was proposing. But that was based on this grant of rights being, indestructible, being ironclad. That's what we were all told over and over again. Oh, it's ironclad, can't get out of it. No, actually, it turns out it's bullshit. Or as my dad used to say, bullshit. That's a bullshit grant of rights. All right. Now, apparently, Jim Phillips, skirted some bylaws to make that extension happen. But that's not the big thing that's going to nuke this conference. The big thing, folks, is in 2027, ESPN can opt out of the deal with the ACC, can jack every bit of media rights money out of that bitch. Are you serious? And if that's the case, Florida State, they're gone. They're going to get out of this thing. And right behind them, Clemson's going to get out. Maybe another team. But without Florida State and without Clemson, your two biggest ratings draws, your two premium matchups, no. ESPN will opt out in 2027. And at that point, you don't have a conference. You're in Pac-12 territory here. No deal, no prospects for a deal. You're screwed. Maybe ESPN will opt out. They come back and lowball you. Maybe somebody else. Maybe here comes Apple. We saw how that played out. And I'm sorry, in 2027 or 2026, whenever this, ESPN will probably announce it in 2026. Hey, we're opting out. Or 2025, we're opting out. Hell, maybe as soon as Florida State leaves, they announce, hey, we're going to opt out in 2027. And then what? The whole conference is screwed at that point. Your grant of rights means nothing. There's nothing monetary holding you together. Well, the ACC still owns the rights. Owns the rights to what? That's based off of having money to split between all the conferences. No. This thing will grenade nuke. It's more than a grenade. It's a freaking nuke going off. So when that happens, I mean, there is no merger prospect at that point. Instead, the Big 12 hangs back. All right, let's see who goes to the SEC. Let's see who goes to the Big 10. Because they're not taking everybody. They're not taking everybody, folks. Now, I do believe, I used to think, also, this is something else that I've had to change my outlook on, is ESPN does not own any of the rights. They just have a deal, a very, very favorable deal with the ACC. It's the ACC that own the rights. So if you get out of the grant of rights, you have no more ties to ESPN or anybody else. So Florida State, when they get out, they will. They're absolutely going to get out. When that happens, they're a free agent. They can go wherever they want. So there's a decision to be made. Do they go with the SEC? Forget about ESPN screwed them, and as far as the CFP and all that. All right, forget about that, because we all kind of believe the little tinfoil hat that happened, but there's no real proof of that. It's the committee. They're supposed to be, they're supposed to be independent. They got their own thinking cap. They don't listen to people from ESPN, but no one really believes that. So I don't know if they're going to blame them totally. But here's the choice. Beyond all that, here's the choice. You go to you go to SEC for less money, or you go to Big Ten for more money. But stop, wait. That's not everything. The SEC can offer you the geography, right? Because they're regional. So all sports, nothing's a struggle. If you go to the Big Ten, now you got travel issues. You just do. But you will make more money. So my guess, and it seems like there's a big grudge held with Florida State fans, Florida State hierarchy, the money people, the donors. So there's a good chance I for the first time, I'm going to change it to where it's 70-30. They go to the Big Ten. All right, just to stick it to the SEC, to stick it to ESPN especially. So 70% chance it's the Big Ten. And if you're the Big Ten, yeah, you want Florida State. North Carolina, look, North Carolina, there's been talk about North Carolina, Virginia, all that kind of stuff. North Carolina can't offer what Florida State can offer. I don't give a damn what anyone thinks out there. I've looked up the numbers, okay? What I didn't know is North Carolina is the 9th most populated state in the union. Did not know that. I'm like, oh, okay. You got a little something there. I didn't know that. One of the fastest growing states in the union. Yes. However, population and growth, all the demographics, the state of Florida blows North Carolina out of the water. North Carolina, way better recruiting than I thought when I looked it up. They have 121 players in the NFL from the state of North Carolina. I didn't know that shit. But who's got more? Florida. Florida. So if I'm the Big Ten, that's what I want, man. I want the gateway into Florida. That's the real heart of SEC country, Florida. So that's where I want to go. Now, it's still my contention that that's about all the Big Ten are going to want. They're going to want number 19 to be Florida. What they want, and I know everybody knows this, they want Notre Dame to be 20. That's their big thing. And I didn't know this. I found this out recently, that apparently in the Big Ten contract, Notre Dame is in the Big Ten contract. Yeah. So if Notre Dame joins the Big Ten, then the money from the media partners goes up for everybody. Everybody makes more money because Notre Dame's there. That's incredible. So it behooves them to try like hell to do anything they can to get Notre Dame. Florida State is the perfect number 19. Notre Dame, they're going to try like hell. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. But I know they re-up their deal with NBC. We'll see what happens. And Clemson's going to do it without knowing of any landing spot. And the SEC is going to suck them up. I'm telling you right now, the SEC will take Clemson. I don't give a solid shit what anyone wants to believe about North Carolina, about Virginia. Maybe I'll make another video about that. I probably will. But I'm not sure exactly right now how many people the SEC is going to take. Clemson, I know they're not going to leave them on the vine. Well, they're already in South Carolina. Well, they were already in Texas when, with A&M when they got UT. You see what I'm saying? It just sounds dumb. So that's not an argument. And South Carolina is not the brand of A&M. They don't have the power and the money that A&M does. And A&M didn't even get a talk, didn't even get really a say with Texas coming in. So they're going to take a big, huge brand. I know Clemson's in a small market, but they get big market ratings. They get blue blood ratings. So yeah, they're gonna be allowed to come in. They're gonna go and snatch them in there. So Clemson fans, don't worry. Don't worry about all the talk about the Big 12. I would love you in the Big 12, and I would be ecstatic, and I'd be so looking forward to being wrong if the Big 12 got their hands on Clemson, but that's not going to happen. They're going to the SEC, folks. But this is just otherworldly shocking to me, you know, that the ACC, like I said, I thought they were going to survive, but I'll be damned. They weren't really ran any better than the Pac 12. They were ran on bubble gum and bullshit. That's. And because look, there's a lot of things wrong with that grant of rights. There's a lot of things wrong with it that Florida State's been pointing out. All they need is one to be really true and stick. And if that's the factual thing of ESPN and get out of there in 2027, this conference is done, folks. It's done. Now, who goes to the Big 12? Because I've heard all kinds of ACC fans on why would you go to the Big 12? Who's going? No one wants to go to the Big 12. This is an academic conference, buddy. This is an academic conference. We ain't going to the Big 12. You know, even though we got AAU schools now. We got what, 5 now? We got research facilities. No one thinks about Texas Tech. No one thinks about R1, bitch. R1. We got education. We got education for your ass. Okay. But I want to hear, and I sincerely hope when I drop this video, I want to hear from the ACC people. I'm talking to you, Tar Heel. I'm talking to you. You're going to tell me if ESPN runs out the door in 2027 that Louisville, Pitt, Virginia Tech, NC State, that's right, NC State, maybe even Georgia, you don't think they're all banging on the door of the Big 12 to get in? You bet your ass they are. Why? Because those brands aren't going to the SEC. Those brands aren't going to the Big 10. There's going to be one landing spot, dumbass. One. You're in a world of hurt. Your precious ACC is built on a house of mud. And that sinkhole is getting bigger under that foundation. And eventually, snap, and it all goes to shit. Just like it did in the Pac-12. Now, maybe some of the smaller brands that get left out of everything, they pull it together like a Oregon State and Washington State are trying to pull it together and try to salvage the Pac. But that new Pac is not going to be an autonomous conference. That new ACC will not be an autonomous conference. So that may happen. That may happen. But they're not going to be autonomous. They're not going to be a power conference. There's going to be a power 3. And this is something I've talked about a long time ago. That there will be 3 power conferences. Big 10, the SEC, and the Big 12. It's what I've been trying to tell you guys for the longest time. It's not just the third biggest, it's the only 3 power conferences. That's what we're looking at in the future. So yeah, that Eastern wing, and I didn't know it could happen this quickly, but to me, 2027, that's only a little over 3 years down the road. That's not very, very long at all. And if ESPN announces once Florida State and Clemson leave, and ESPN announces they're out, which that could happen right after Clemson, right after Florida State leave, They could say, yeah, we're not going to re-up. We're going to opt out of the deal in 2027. And they may do that to coax the brands that they want in the Big 12 to give them a heads up, give them a runway to make that move and prep for the move to the Big 12. What does that look like with Louisville, with Pitt, Virginia Tech, NC State? At least those four. We haven't even talked about Miami yet. And look, I know Miami fans, you want to be in the Big 10, maybe the SEC. But let me tell you, the Big 12, that's a good home. And it's a good home for you. You're a small private school in a huge market. Wow, that sounds a lot like TCU. However, unlike TCU, there's a hell of a lot of championship history there with Miami. A big brand, big fan base that they've earned through winning. Yes. But don't feel bad about coming to the Big 12 if that's what happens. This is going to be an amazing conference. It already is an amazing conference. It's going to get better. Coast to coast with great brands. Good ratings. It's not Big 10. It's not Ohio State versus Michigan. It's not Alabama versus Georgia. It's not Texas versus OU. Okay, but we got good matchups that bring in solid ratings, steady, consistent ratings that all these media companies need. So there is tremendous value to be had in the Big 12, and that value is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're only going up, folks. So no, there won't be a merger. I'm sure Jim Phillips wants Florida State and Clemson leave. And like I thought he would, I'm sure he'll call Yormark, have some conversations about merger. But if Brett Yormark goes to ESPN, like, hey, what do you think about a merger? ESPN's what are they going to tell him? They're going to say, look, we're out of there in 2027. Here's the teams that I want you to try to get. And you should have no problem getting them. As a matter of fact, we'll help you. We'll announce that we're going to grenade that conference in 2027. We're going to drop the nuke in 2027. And you get whatever survivors you want. And here's the ones we would like. So if ESPN wants Georgia Tech, they're going to the Big 12. If ESPN wants Syracuse, then they're going to the Big 12. That's how that's going to work. So whether it's 4 teams, 6 teams, not sure. But it's north of 20, baby. We will be the biggest, most populated conference. And I keep hearing, well, there's no reason. There's no reason for this tier 2 bullshit. No, player. No, there's every fucking reason for it. And it's called ESPN. It's called Fox. It's called inventory. It's called product. You can't sell nothing. You can't sell nothing. You can't sell a blank black screen to an advertiser. You got to have a product to sell. That's ESPN. Because it's not some bullshit G5 product. This is product that can win a national title or at least get in the playoffs and win some playoff games. That's this conference. You better believe. And then there were 3, baby. That's what we've learned. Then there were 3. So I've given the ACC far too much credit. And on Christmas Eve, we are on the eve of the destruction of the ACC. Holy shit. Well, y'all have a great Christmas, a wonderful day. All you great fathers out there, man, I know I look forward to watching my kids opening up the presents I have for years and years. And hopefully we all get a nice Christmas pickle tickle at the end of the day. What it's all about, folks. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.